Today, we're diving into an incredible story about a legacy media company that basically stared death in the face and then completely reinvented itself. We're talking about the German publishing giant, Axel Springer. And this is really the core question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. At the turn of the millennium, companies built on ink and paper were facing a legitimate existential threat. For a giant like Axel Springer, this wasn't just a small business challenge. It was a fight for its life against this massive tidal wave of technological change. But you know what? Before we go back to the beginning, let's just skip to the end. Take a look at this. By 2015, this is what Axel Springer's business looked like. Almost all of its revenue, the vast majority, was digital. The old print powerhouse had become a digital-first company. So how on earth did they pull that off? To really understand this transformation, we have to rewind the clock. Let's go back to the year 2000, when Axel Springer was an absolute titan of the print world, but a titan standing on some very shaky ground. Say, the company was home to Germany's biggest, most famous newspaper brands like Bild and Die Welt. But the internet was starting to change absolutely everything. Ad revenues were dropping, subscriptions were drying up. The very business model that had made them a giant was just starting to crumble. They knew they had to change or they were going to disappear. And this is where a new CEO, Matthias Döpfner, comes onto the scene in 2002. And he walked in with this totally revolutionary vision. This quote right here, it just perfectly captures his whole idea. Their business wasn't printing, it was journalism. They had to free their content from the physical page and find it a new home in the digital world. I mean, that one idea reframed their entire mission. So with this new vision, they cooked up a strategy that was both incredibly bold and, for a lot of people inside the company, pretty terrifying. They actually called it the cannibalize yourself plan. This quote just gets right to the heart of it. The idea was, instead of waiting for some new digital startup to come along and eat their lunch, they were going to do it to themselves first. They decided to proactively disrupt their own, very profitable print business to build a digital one in its place. The logic was simple, right? It's better to be in charge of your own destruction. But how exactly were they planning to make money online? Well, they focused on three big areas that they already knew from the old newspaper world. First, paid content, getting people to actually pay for quality journalism online. Second, marketing, selling advertisers access to their big digital audience. And third, classifieds, moving all those job, real estate, and car ads onto their own online platforms. Now, a plan is one thing, but making it happen is everything. Axel Springer knew they didn't really have that digital DNA in-house, so they decided to go out and buy it. And boy, did they go on a shopping spree. They bought Stepstone for online jobs, Sealodger for French real estate, Xanox for performance marketing, and yep, eventually the American digital news site Business Insider. They weren't just dipping their toes in the water here, they were buying up market leaders in these key digital spaces. And they put some serious money behind this. By 2015, the company had spent a staggering 4 billion euros on over 220 different acquisitions. This was not a side project. This was a complete all-in bet on a digital future. And you know what? That bet paid off big time. After they bought Business Insider in 2015, Axel Springer's global digital audience just exploded to nearly 200 million users. They had gone from being a German print company to one of the biggest digital publishers on the entire planet. But buying a bunch of companies and spending billions of euros, that wasn't the whole story, not even close. The much harder part of this whole transformation had to happen inside their own walls, with their own people. They had this huge realization. You just can't run a digital empire with a print mindset. It doesn't work. A new strategy needed a totally new culture. They had to fundamentally change how their employees thought, how they behaved, and how they worked together. So how do you do that? How do you actually rewire an entire corporate culture? Well, they got really creative. They sent their top 70 managers on trips to Silicon Valley to see how companies like Google and Apple actually worked. They created fellowship programs for their employees to get hands-on experience out there. And back home, they launched these internal events like Pizza Connection to share ideas, and they even made these short buzzword decoder videos to teach everyone what things like SEO actually meant. They were literally rewiring the company from the inside out. And this slide just shows you how deep that shift was. The old print world, it was all about perfection, focusing internally. But the new digital world demanded agility, speed, and connecting with the outside world. It was a move away from rigid annual goals toward leading with a really inspiring purpose. This was nothing short of a cultural revolution. And all of that brings us to the final result, the emergence of a completely new kind of company. By 2015, this was the most important number for Axel Springer, 70%. 70% of their core earnings, their EBITDA, was now being generated by their digital businesses. This was the ultimate proof. The painful, expensive, and difficult transformation had actually worked. They had successfully pulled off the pivot. But this raises a really fascinating question. Back in the old days, it was paper that was the link holding everything together. The news, the ads, the classifieds. But in this new digital empire, what's the common thread? And here's the answer. The new link is data. Understanding their 200 million users, what they read, what they search for, what they want to buy, that's the asset that connects their journalism to their marketing and classifieds businesses. Data became the new paper. And here's the crucial point to leave you with. Axel Springer won its war against the death of print, but in doing so, it just entered a brand new battlefield, and now it's competing directly with giants like Google and Facebook. Their incredible journey shows that for any company in the digital age, survival isn't a destination. It's just a constant state of reinvention.